All right, what's going on? It's Sam Phelan here with Titans at 2 on A to Z Sports, talking a little Tennessee Titans and the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm going to go over where the Titans are currently seated in the 2025 NFL Draft order, where I think they will end up at the end of the season, and how the latest mock draft shows that we could be trending towards a big test of priorities for Ran Carthon and Brian Callahan as they figure out what this team needs most moving forward to start building a winner and finalize what they hope is a very solid core and a good championship caliber roster. Hasn't looked like it. Maybe need another player acquisition cycle. The draft going to be pivotal towards doing that, and especially where the Titans pick. Today's Titans at 2, before we get into it, is brought to you by my friends over at Lipscomb and the Lipscomb Sport Analytics Department, where data meets the game. The Lipscomb Sport Analytics program at Lipscomb is where you will learn to make the calls that count. You can get off the sidelines and into the action, analyze, strategize, revolutionize, and turn your passion into profession. I went to Lipscomb. I'm a Lipscomb graduate myself who wanted to work in sports. Well, look where I am now. I turned my passion for sports media and sports broadcasting into profession thanks to the Lipscomb faculty, to their connections in the city of Nashville, to all of my, peers and students at Lipscomb as well that made me better. The possibilities are endless at Lipscomb because they're not just watching the game, they're changing how it's played through their innovative sport analytics program. If it looks interesting to you, if it's something that you might want to do, you can become a data-driven decision maker by working in the world of professional athletics. Hit up Lipscomb University in Nashville. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. Let's talk about the latest projected NFL draft, because the Titans are currently slated to have the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL draft. I know that sounds crazy when the team is 3-9 like they are, but that's the reality of the NFL landscape today. There are so many bad football teams that winning 5 games could have the Titans picking 8th, 9th, 10th, like right on the cusp of outside the top 10. Winning 3 games could give them the number 1 overall pick. That's sort of the volatility. 2 wins are going to slide you 10 whole picks in the draft, possibly, depending on where you're at. This weekend's game against Jacksonville, huge for draft, because the Jaguars currently have the number 1 overall pick. They're 3-10. And the Titans at 3-9 have the 7th overall pick. That's how tight these margins are. So Titans win, you're going to have a hard time getting back into the top 5. I don't see a world where you pick top 5 if you win 5 games. That in order to win 5 games, Titans would have to go 2-3 the rest of the way. They do have 2 games with Jacksonville, 1 with the Colts, 1 with the Bengals, 1 with the Texans, who normally would feel like a loss, but the Titans did beat the Texans on the road. So we'll see. And because I don't feel like the Titans are in position to pick in the top 5, it is, to me, feeling very unlikely that quarterback is an option for this team. Will Levis is playing much better football. He's trending in the right direction. He's kind of getting consistent with his growth and improvement, working with Brian Callahan. That's all you really want to see. And if the Titans win enough games where they can't go get Shedeur Sanders or even Cam Ward, this quarterback class is not deep enough to chase one. You're not going to see 3-4 quarterbacks going in the top 10. That's not going to happen. So unless the Titans really bottom out here the rest of the way and end up picking 2nd overall where they can get Shedeur Sanders, I don't think that happens. Therefore, where do the Titans pivot? The most latest mock draft from Pro Football Focus, to me, is very interesting because it would be a situation in which Ran Carthon and Brian Callahan are tested to the extreme. They are tested on their priorities. We know that the Titans are flawed and have needs. They have a need on the offensive line, specifically at right tackle. They have a need on the defensive line at edge rusher. They have needs at inside linebacker. You could argue they have a big need at wide receiver, because as good as Calvin Ridley is, which is like at least a very solid wide receiver too, he'll probably finish the year with over 1,000 yards. As good as Nick Westbrook-Akine has been, maybe on track to score double-digit touchdowns this year, NWI is a free agent. Tyler Boyd is a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins got traded. Treylon Burks had knee surgery. Jaquan Jackson is not an offensive impact guy, and all of your other guys like Mason Kinsey and your supporting role players are going to be free agents as well. You have 2 wide receivers right now on pace to be on your roster next year, realistically, that are also under contract. It's Bryce Oliver and Calvin Ridley. So you're going to have to add to that position and add a lot of talent. Maybe wide receiver is a place the Titans could go. But to me, the way this mock draft plays out would have the Titans in a very fun and I think fortuitous spot at 7. PFF, number 1 overall. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter. No surprise. Number 2, Vegas takes Shedeur Sanders. Number 3, the Giants go quarterback, and it's Cam Ward. New England takes Tetairoa McMillan, the first receiver off the board at number 4. Carolina takes defensive tackle Mason Graham out of Michigan. Then the Jets take the first cornerback in Michigan DB Will Johnson. Now, this leaves, as many Titans fans will probably be quick to point out, a guy like Luther Burden, who could go as high as 5 and as low as 25 in the draft right now. But to me, I find this interesting because this leaves the top edge rusher and the top offensive tackle talent on the board for Tennessee. You could grab your favorite tackle of the entire draft class. You could grab your favorite edge rusher of the entire draft class. PFF has the Titans taking offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Trevor Sikkema of PFF writes, Banks would mark the 3rd offensive lineman selected by the Titans in the 1st round in as many years, but it might be exactly what they need. Adding Banks would allow Tennessee to shift J.C. Latham back to his more natural position at right tackle, providing an upgrade over NPF and solidifying the line. Now, I think there is reason to logically believe that this is possible. If the Titans love Kelvin Banks Jr., you go and you grab another tackle. Now, Kelvin Banks Jr. and J.C. Latham, you should have your tackles figured out for the long-term future. You also have Will Campbell out of LSU, another top tackle talent. To me, those would be mistakes, though. To me, the choice here is Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. Double-digit sacks, athletic defensive lineman, rushes the passer well. He's a former linebacker turned edge rusher with elite first step explosiveness and bend, one of the top speed rushers in the draft class. That to me feels like a bigger need because I don't get drafting an offensive tackle and then moving J.C. Latham back to the right side. You drafted Latham 7th overall to be a left tackle. You would argue, honestly, when the Titans took, let's think about this, right? When the Titans took J.C. Latham at 7, the criticism was, if he's a left tackle and good, awesome pick. If he's a right tackle and good, not great value. You don't really want to take a right tackle at 7 overall. Why? Because they're available later in the draft. You can get a right tackle in the 2nd round. You can get a right tackle in the 3rd round. The value there, I don't know if it's there. Now, all of those criticisms of J.C. Latham, credit to the Titans because they got it right with Latham. They moved him to the left side, and it's working out. He has had a very good rookie season. He looks like a franchise left tackle. So why then would you cut off your nose to spite your face? And by that, I mean trying to solve one problem and you potentially open up another wound. So we're trying to, instead of just solving right tackle, we're going to solve left tackle and then move J.C. Latham, who has now been taking all of his NFL snaps at left tackle, not knowing if the new guy can be a successful left tackle because we haven't seen it proven. That doesn't make much sense to me. It also doesn't make much sense to me because then you're using back-to-back first-round picks on tackles, but you're playing one of them at right tackle, which means you're using a top 10 pick on a right tackle regardless, which we all agreed last year was not the right move. The Titans need edge rusher help. You have to get after the quarterback. Harold Landry and Arden Key are not getting it done. You need more consistent pressure if this defense wants to have any chance of improving. And that it's a position that, quite frankly, the organization has neglected for far too long. They've chosen not to use significant draft capital in edge rusher in a while. And that needs to change. It's a premium position for a reason. I would take Abdul Carter. And then on day 2 of the draft, I would look at right tackles and I would look at wide receivers. Maybe you take a wide receiver in the second round. And then in the 4th round, you pursue a right tackle. Or maybe a right tackle is a good spot for you to spend a little bit of money for once. I mean, you have such a young offensive line. You have J.C. Latham, rookie contract. Peter Skoronski, rookie contract. Dylan Radins, rookie contract, I think. But, still young. You paid Lloyd Cushenberry, who got hurt. But why not add another veteran? Why run with 4 really young guys, especially if it means you have to use a top 10 pick to address the issue? Give me Abdul Carter. But all this to say, it would be an interesting spot for the Titans. It would be a really interesting spot for Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon to be in, because with your choice of number 1 offensive tackle and number 1 edge rusher, they're telling us a lot about what they prioritize and what they feel is the biggest issue for the team. It'd be a big test, but we'll see, because this draft order, as I mentioned off the top, is volatile, can change every single day, depending on outcomes of games, and none bigger than the Titans and Jaguars this Sunday. That's all I've got for you on Titans at 2 this afternoon. Give some love to my friends over at Lipscomb. Check out their sport analytics program if you have interest in working in the world of sports. Until next time, which will be Sunday probably, as I cover Titans and Jaguars from Nissan Stadium. Keep it locked in on AtoZSports.com for written content as well from myself, from Easton Freeze. And then Austin Stanley and Zach Bingham will be back on Monday morning to recap whatever happens in Titans Jags. Talk to you guys later. Till next time, tighten up.